And to say that everything changed is an understatement completely. And we have to take a much closer look at one of the biggest casualties of the chemical-intensive agricultural influence and evolution in the United States: the family farm. Like the TV, automobiles, and most fashion sense, things always change. And how we eat, same thing. Look, in the 1800s, farmers grew enough food to feed 3 to 5 people. Essentially enough for their own families and maybe some passing through train robbers or bounty hunters. And you can imagine, farming made up 90% of the entire workforce back then. And yes, millions of those were indeed slaves. And we complain a lot about our work conditions today, but things were not really great back in the early 1900s. In the 1930s, it wasn't bad enough that the entire economy tanked and millions were put out of work. In a very cruel twist of fate, drought and the Dust Bowl took hold for 3 straight years in our heartland. And even with those conditions, most people still worked 15 to 20-hour days. It's crazy. At least something called electricity helped to improve some of their conditions along the way. In the 1940s, the post-war boom changed a hell of a lot for us. Farmers went from using horses to tractors, which is huge. Fertilizer use was unfortunately exploding, and freezers helped to keep food lasting longer. And the American dream was alive and well. And then Darth Vader decided he was sick of sitting things out and wanted to construct a brand new Death Star by creating chemicals that not only eliminated weeds, but jobs as well. And into the 1960s, you can almost with your own eyes see what happened. In that period, there were about 15.5 million farmers, and that made up about 8.3% of the workforce. In the 70s, 6 million less farmers, and the number of the workforce cut in half. In 1980, 3 million less farmers than that. 1990, you guessed it, 3 million less farmers than that. And then into the 2000s and to today, where everything kind of leveled off and we have about 2 million farmers right now. One farmer feeds 155 people, and that's a lot. And they make a lot of money in corn, soy, chicken, and cows, and some other stuff too. So why do I mention all this, and why should you care? Glyphosate via Roundup was starting to take hold, and it certainly made it easier on farmers. All they had to do was spray this stuff, and it streamlined the process of weeding, and you could say, very much so, that it helped them. And here's the big picture. They used a lot of it over 4 decades, and this is how much. Just look at that. It's like the blob, an amoeba. Fairly stark picture that this is literally painting, right? Now, when Roundup came out of the gate, Monsanto and their marketing department didn't even know how to market a chemical that was totally environmentally friendly that yet killed every freaking plant in sight. It's weird to even hear that out loud. Anyway, they needed to get it out there. And I'm not positive. There probably wasn't a lot of talk about human health back then. I'm just guessing.
Are Roundup weed and grass killer products safe? We know it's important that all of your lawn and garden products are safe to use around people, pets, and the places they gather. No matter which product you're using, it's always best to read the label's instructions. Follow the label, and safety will follow too.